kids.com. And if you like this video, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video with as many people as you can. And if you're not subscribed to my channel yet, kindly do it so that you don't miss any of my videos. So without any delay, let's get started. And today we are gonna learn about static and default methods in interfaces in Java. Right? So static, and we are gonna see what is the behavior of static and default methods in interfaces of Java. Right? And these static and default methods were introduced in Java 8, and they have quite a different behavior, and today we are going to learn about that behavior and see how they are useful. So without any delay, let's get started. Damn! Okay, so first of all we'll learn about static methods and then we'll learn about default methods. So just an overview on these static and default methods are that these both methods are in interfaces, right? Right. So these static and default methods that are there in interfaces can have a body. So till now we have learned that all in the interfaces there are all abstract methods, right? You can't have body of methods in interfaces. But now because of static and default methods, we can give a body to the methods that are there in our interfaces, and that is very useful, right, when you're coding. And we are gonna see why is it useful right now in this video. So without any delay, let's get started. So static methods in interfaces are those methods which are defined in the interface, meaning they have a body, right, with the keyword static. So they are defined in the interface, meaning they have a body with the keyword static. Unlike other methods in interface, these static methods contain the complete definition of the function. So they contain the complete definition. So you give them the whole definition, and basically like you give in a normal class, static methods and interfaces also work like that, like in a normal class, right? Uh, so these static methods contain the complete definition of the function, and since the definition is complete, and the method is static, therefore these methods cannot be ridden, right? So the implementing class cannot override these methods, right, or change in the in implementation class. So you cannot override these methods first of all, and or you cannot change them in your implementation class, right? So over here we have an example, then we will have another example, but first we have an example over here. We are creating a new interface, right? And in that we are creating a static method hello, and we are giving it a body. What a surprise! We are giving it a body. But this is the behavior of static methods, guys. They can have a body in the interface. You don't need to give them the body in the implementing class, right? And then we have a public and abstract method of interface over here, right? So we learned in interfaces the method modifiers by default are public and abstract. So over here public and abstract, this is a method with the public and abstract modifiers, and this method we cannot give a body. If you try to, it will lead us to an error, right? Its name is override method, and it is taking an argument string str, right? And then we have our implementation class. This is public class main, and it implements from new interface, right? So all this all the methods, like, and all the methods of the interface have come in our main class. But the static method, you need to use this. This is a behavior, guys. You need to use the static method by mentioning the implementation class, right? So sorry, by mentioning the interface's name, right? So because this is static, you need to directly access this using the interface, right? So in a main method we have an interface demo object, right, equals new main, right? And then what we are doing, new interface.hello. So we are calling the hello method that is static in our new interface, and because it is static, you need to access it using the interface. So you have to do new interface.hello, and we are not giving this hello method a body like you are giving it to override method over here, right? Because basically it is a static method, and we learned that static methods that have basically a definition cannot be overridden. So if you try to override them, you will get an error, right? And then what we are doing interface demo, so our object that was created, and we are calling its override method, right, and passing it a string, and it is basically just showing that string. So what this will show us, first of all, it will show us hello new static method here, because we are calling the static method, right? And then it will show us hello override method here, because we are calling override method and passing this string to it, and it is just printing that string. So it will show us hello new static method here and hello override method here. So if I just run this, it will take a minute or so. You see, it is showing us hello new static method here, hello override method here. Right? Here we have another example of basically our static methods. So over here we are creating a okay, so over here we have an interface print demo, right? And in that we are commenting static method. So over here we just have one static method, that is hello, and it is just printing us for us called from interface print demo, right? So to access this static method, now what we need to do, we need to give the interface name dot method name, right? That's how you access static methods. You need to access it from class. So first just give the from interface. So first of all, just give the interface name, then a dot, just to tell that we want to access the static method of this interface, and then just give the method name which you want to basically call. And in a main class, we are creating a main class that is implementing from print demo, right? So this main class now implements from print demo, right? So all the properties and methods have come over here instead of the static methods, but the static so basically all the properties and methods have come here, right? So over here I'll just clear my doubt also over here really quick. So over here, if we just create an object, okay, so I'll just comment this first. First, let's understand the code. All the properties and methods of print demo have come over here. Then what we are doing, we are creating a hello method, right? So this method is of our main class. So this method that is being created over here is of our main class. This static method is not overriding the method of print demo, right? It is basically a method of our main class that we can use, right? And in the main method, what we are doing print demo.hello. So we are saying that call the hello method of print demo, and then we are calling hello. So because we are calling it in this class only, in the main class our hello method is there, so it will access the hello method that is in our main class that we have defined, right? So it will access it and call it. So it will just show system.out, it will just show call from class, but before it will show us call from interface print demo, because we are doing call print demo's hello method, right? So it will first show call from interface print demo, and then it will show call from class, right? And if I just comment this out, and then over here I create an object, just comment this, then I'll create an object of a class, main obj equals new main, right? And just do main.hello, obj.hello, right? So will it call the method hello, or will we get an error? So we have got an error. Okay, so basically the static methods that are there in our interfaces don't come in the implementing class, right? Only the abstract methods, public abstract methods come, basically the other methods only come in our implementing class, right? Not the static methods, right? That's what I wanted to check. So that's why you have to call the static methods by accessing the interface name dot and the static method name that is there in the interface, right? So now we have a lot of information on static methods, and it was first of all quite shocking for me also that we can create, basically we can give a method body to a method in interfaces. I always had the understanding that we cannot give a method body to interfaces, right? In interfaces, but I was wrong. We can, right? And I'm here teaching you also, and yeah, I hope you get to learn something, right? And then we have our default methods. So before Java 8 was introduced, interfaces could have only abstract methods. So the interfaces that are there could only have abstract methods. The implementation of these methods has to be provided in a separate class. So the implementation before Java 8 we could only have abstract methods, and the implementation, basically the body of these methods had to be basically provided in a different class that basically implemented from the interface, right? So if a new method is to be added in an interface, so if we add a new method in an interface, then its implementation code has to be provided in the class implementing the same interface. So you had to again and again give it basically the body in your implementation class. So for example, you have an interface, right, and all your classes are dependent on it. So before Java 7, if you wanted to use one method that you wanted to have the same body, right, and you wanted to have an interface, right, and wanted to have a method in it that had the same body every time, and you are implementing, for example, implementing from that interface like in about 10 classes. So what you have to do, you have to give that method body in every class. So that is a lot of hassle, a lot of unclean code, and a lot of basically rewriting of code, right? So to prevent this, right, so to overcome this issue, Java 8 has introduced the concept of default methods, which allow the interfaces to have methods with implementation without affecting the classes that implement the interface, right? So now default methods can also have a body, right? And now if that case was true when we wanted to implement from an interface in 10 other classes, then what we could do, we could just create a default method and just give it the body there and then we didn't have to give the body everywhere, right? So the default methods were introduced to provide backward compatibility. So what is backward compatibility? So backward compatibility is like when a new thing is introduced, then the new things are applicable and the old things that were there previously were also applicable. So basically the previous features of Java, the abstract methods and all were also applicable in interfaces, and you could have a default method in interfaces also that could have a body, right? So that existing interfaces can use the lambda expressions, right? So that existing interfaces can use the lambda expressions without implementing methods in the implementation class. So this is saying that if you haven't seen my lambda expression video, just do check it. I have an example in it where we are creating our own interface and working with it. So what we can do in that video, what we were doing, over there we had a run method, right, and we were giving it the body through our lambda expression, right? So some way we were giving it a body, right? We were giving the body to the run method at that time. So instead of giving the body again and again, using default methods, we can just give it a body if we know that the body of that method won't change. So we could just use a default method over there where we could have given a specific body and then use the lambda expression with the run method. So now we don't need to give the body again and again and again, right? And that basically shortens the code a lot. So not shortens, basically it makes your code much more readable and much more understanding, right? Default methods are also known as defender methods, right? So these default methods are also known as defender methods. So over here we have an example of default methods where we are creating a test interface, and in that we have an abstract method and then we have a default method, that is show, and we are giving it a body, quite cool. And in the body we are just printing out default method executed, because this is just a short example, right? And in our main class it implements from test interface, right? And over here inside we are giving the body to our abstract method square. So we are giving it the same modifiers, the same name, the same argument accepting, and in that we are just saying system.out.println a into a. So we just are taking out the square of a, whatever we get we're just taking out a square, right, and printing it. And then in our main method, what we are doing, we are creating an object of our main class that implemented from test interface, right? And then we are calling the square method, right? Square method of we gave the square method a body, right? So we are just calling it through that object and passing it 4. So 4 into 4 is 4, 8, 12, 16. So it will show us 16, right? So it will on our screen show us 16. And because unlike static methods, these default methods come in our main class. So static methods we needed to call using our interface name dot and then static method name. But over here our default methods come into our main class, right? So they are a part of our main class when we implement from test interface, and we can call the default methods using basically our main class's object, right? So we can just call our default methods using the classes that implemented from the interface, right? So over here basically we can call the default method from the class objects that implemented from the interface, right? So over here this is a class object, this is a main object B, and we are just calling it show method because this show method we implemented test interface. We implemented main from test interface, so the methods and all the methods of test interface came here. So the default method also came, and now it was a part of our main class, so we just use it using its object, right, and calling its show method because its name was show. So first of all it will show us 16, and then it will show us default method executed, right? So it is showing us 16 and then it is showing us default method executed, right? Sorry. And then we have another example with two interfaces. Over here what we have a test interface 1, right? In this we have a default method that is show, and it is just showing us default test interface 1. And then sorry about that, then we have a test interface 2 in which we have another default method with the same modifiers, the same name, and it is just showing us default test interface 2. Then in our main class we are implementing from test interface 1 and test interface 2. So now we have the confusing part. Both the show methods are there in our main class. So if we call one of them, Java will be confused which show method to call. Is it the first show method or is the second show method, right? So now what we are doing, we are creating our own show method. So this is, we are just overriding a method, we are just overriding our default method, right? So now we are overriding our default method, and what we are doing, we are doing test interface. In that, we are just doing test interface one dot super dot show. So we are using the super keyword to call the show method of test interface one interface, right? So over here, what we are doing, test interface one dot super creates an I think that it creates an object of our test interface one, and we can just call the show method. And over here, similarly, in test interface two dot super creates an object, temporary object of basically test interface 2, and we are just calling it show method. So over here, two statements will come. This our own show method will do two things: show default test interface 1 and show default test interface 2. So look how we did it, right? So we created two show methods, and then we created another show method that was calling basically both the show methods of our interfaces, right? So this is quite very cool, right? And in our main method, we are just creating an object of our main class, that is this, right? And then we are just calling the show method. So this will show us default test interface 1 and default test interface 2, because what we are doing test interface 1 dot super. This is creating a temporary object of test interface 1, and we are just calling that show method from it, right? And then test interface 2 dot super is creating a temporary object of test interface 2, and then we call our show method. So we'll get it will call our show method that will show us default test interface 2. So it is showing us default test interface 1 before, because over here first we specified to call the show method of test interface 1, and then it is calling the show method of test interface 2. So this was default and static methods of interfaces in Java, guys. I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button and share this video with as many people as you can. Thank you guys. Bye. Stay safe, stay healthy, and keep watching my videos. Damn!